Hey legends, welcome to the Virtus Performance Podcast. This is week 56. Today I sat down with our very good friend, the Wizard of Oz, formerly known as Coach Cam, formerly known as Coach Cam _.
Hello.
More formally to that. Formally?
Previously?
Formally?
Yeah, okay.
There's nothing formal about... Actually, that's why he changed, because he's less formal now.
Yeah.
But today we sat down and we just chatted about a bunch of questions the Virtus family had. It was pretty fun. It was quite enjoyable. Yeah. Enjoy.
I'm here under duress. Please, somebody come get me out of here, please. I'm serious.
And if you're not here under duress, could you please share, subscribe? That would be spectacular. Segways. My personal and business goal is to be just a little bit better every day. I believe everyone, especially normal people, have a story to tell. The Virtus podcast exists to help us all find small ways of consistent improvement by discussing the journey and experiences of each of our guests. What's he said?
No, he just said, hey.
Oh, okay. Tell him I said
I was like, who the fuck's Lockie Edwards? I don't even know him.
We started.
It doesn't matter. He doesn't listen to this, and if he doesn't...
If he doesn't or if he does?
Well, I know he doesn't, but if he doesn't, then I'm off him anyway. But if he does, I'd like to take this opportunity to formally apologise.
To who?
To Lockie Edwards. But if he doesn't listen to this, which I'm confident he doesn't...
No, I reckon...
Then it doesn't matter.
I reckon he might. I might send him this episode.
Well, now, if you send it to him, then he's going to listen to it, and that's not fair. That's almost like...
Is it cheating?
Is that entrapment?
It's pandering.
That's definitely pandering, thank you.
So...
You nearly spilled water all over my laptop.
Sitting here today with my friend Coach Cam, the Wizard of Oz.
Hello.
What's been going on in your world apart from changing your Instagram handle?
Oh, look, it was big. It was a big decision. I'd been sitting on it for a few weeks, and I thought, you know what? Enough's enough. Got to go back and just change things up a little bit.
But why? Coach Cam's such a simple, elegant...
Coach Cam _
Well, it doesn't matter anymore, does it?
It doesn't. But here's where my mindset was around it. Coach Cam _ is very formal, very professional. I am not very formal or very professional. I'm just not.
True.
I like to be a goofball, and I think the Instagram handle change reflects that about me. So it's a lot... Like, there's still a lot of interesting content, and I'll still drive a little bit of, evidence-based practice and practice-based evidence, but I will do it in a much faster, much looser, a lot more fun way.
So what you're saying is you grew up from the Wizard of Oz into Coach Cam, and you've gone, you know what? Fuck that. I'm going back.
If Peter Pan can get away with it for however many years, why can't I?
How many years did he get away with it for?
Too many. Absolutely too many.
Why were you today, mate? What's the plan? What's the structure for the next little bit looking like?
Let's just chat, wax poetic, and answer some questions from the familiar.
Well,
that's Spanish for family. Did you know that?
Yeah, mate. I went to...
C is yes, actually. So
I went to South America, and they speak Spanish there because of...
Wouldn't they speak South American?
Yeah, mate, that's what I would have thought. But apparently they speak Spanish.
That's awesome.
Something about an invasion and stuff. But
okay.
That's for another podcast.
We're getting a little bit culturally... well, it's not insensitive because it's happened.
It did happen.
Yeah.
Lots of people died.
Okay. Welcome to
first question.
Welcome to
we'll just
fucking Holocaust podcast.
We'll just riff through a couple of questions. We'll go one for one. I got one from at country club country _ bad boy.
The king.
Luke Daniel. The man with the biggest nose on the pen link.
Yeah, King Bonds. What a dork. I love it.
His question.
This will be good.
How do you drop an egg onto a concrete floor without cracking it?
Oh, he actually asked that question. Oh, that's a great question.
It's a great question.
That's all physics, Luke. I'm a nerd when it comes to this stuff. I friggin' love physics. Do you know how?
How? Tell me.
Oh, I don't know the exact science because I'm not great at it. All right, okay.
So I'm a nerd, but I don't know the exact science.
I'll try my best. So, we've got things like... Oh, well, everything is bound by energy in the world. So you've got like an object like an egg. An egg has something called like standing energy, and that's the amount of energy that particular object requires molecularly to be kept together.
Yep. Gotcha. Atoms and stuff.
Atoms and Eves. So when you take that object with its standing energy, and then you say elevate it, let's say we elevate it to 1 meter.
Yep.
You'll then incur 1 meter's worth of potential energy.
Mm-hmm.
So you've taken it away from its resting point on the ground,
Gotcha.
where it can't go any lower, and you've elevated it 1 meter.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something they call potential energy. Potential, I can't remember the algorithms, this will challenge me, is I think something like weight times height, I think. So let's say that the egg weighs like 1 kilo, big egg, bigger chicken. And, and then you take it 1 meter off the ground, then I think it's something like, or let's say 2 meters, that's probably going to be easier. Then it's something like a potential energy of 2.
Yep.
But if the standing energy is 1, then it's going to have a deficit of 1. So when you drop it from that height, the egg will break.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's got a standing energy of 1, and you take it to that potential energy limit of 1, there's a fair chance that the egg won't break.
Mm-hmm.
But where it gets really fun is you can change this variable by, you play with the potential energy. So let's say we take that egg to 100 meters. And now you've got 100 potential energy. When you drop it, we go from potential to kinetic energy, and that's where all of that energy that's been bound up by gravity trying to impose its will on the egg becomes based around speed. So the variable is now speed. That kinetic energy needs to be diffused somehow, and this is where it gets really fun, is you've got to find ways to buffer, in this case the egg, so that the egg, when it hits that deceleration point, which is the ground, mm-hmm. that it has as little kinetic energy as possible, that it comes under its standing energy point.
How do we do that?
Well, there's heaps of different ways. Like science experiments are really cool for this, but we did one in high school that was sick, where we had like well, you just got asked to have an egg, and you had to like drop it from, I can't remember how high, it would have been at least 2 meters. Had to drop for like 2 meters, and it had to survive the fall. No, it was higher than 2 meters actually. It was a whole mezzanine up, so it would have been like 6 meters. So we had to drop it from 6 meters, and it was sick. The person that won it had this really cool straw invention where they had like 12 straws, and they put the straws in like crisscrossy pyramids, and then they mounted the egg inside it, and they dropped it, and because the straws hit the ground first and they were all pointing different directions, like think of a pyramid,
yeah,
and then the egg's in the middle, and it was a little bit protected by this cushion as well. Because the straws hit the ground, it spread the impact from the ground through the straws but away from the egg, and the egg didn't bounce, it kind of sort of got absorbed by the ground, so its kinetic energy was slowed down by, or was reduced by, the deceleration, or the time extending the deceleration. That's the premise of speed bags, is they don't shorten the impact, they prolong the impact. So they say, I want you to hit the same distance, but I want it to take longer.
Yeah.
So that's why this straw thing was really cool. But everyone else was like making parachutes and stuff, and like they were just making these crude World War II-esque parachutes and just dropping them off it, which was still cool because it was still slowing it down. But because you didn't have the buffer on the egg, you just had the buffer on the kinetic energy. It wasn't bringing under its standing energy point. It was so fun.
So you should do both.
Yeah. So
the
you have
answer
to.
Is straws and parachutes.
Oh, someone won it with they had like balloons.
I'd probably just stand underneath and catch it.
Yeah, that's fair. They had like balloons. Well, even then, if your hands aren't moving when you catch it, then you haven't buffered or slowed down the deceleration point. So if your hands aren't moving,
athlete, right?
It's going to crack. But if you drop your hands at the same speed as the egg and then slow it down, then you'll stop it. Deceleration, yeah. It was really cool. So I can actually answer that question.
Good question, Luke. Thanks.
I bet Luke wasn't expecting that I could answer that question.
I'm going to roll into question 2 from Luke, which is...
Is it the biceps one?
It's a little deeper.
This isn't deep if it's the biceps one.
What's the point of diminishing returns? Take a breath.
Alright, go on.
I've read it 3 times, so I laugh when I said it. What's the point of diminishing returns for bicep curls? Is there such thing as too much bicep training? I'm a young, lanky boy who wants big arms to impress women while I wear my deep V-necks out in public. Please provide some advice. Discuss.
The deepest V's. So there is a point of diminishing returns when it comes to bicep curls. And I know what you're all going to say. You're going to be like, what? You can never do enough fucking bicep curls. I'm going to explain a concept to you. I'm going to call this the Biceps Paradox. I'm really, really powerful about this. So I've had people make fun of my biceps forever.
Rightly so.
Greg is a big advocate for this. He thinks this is his favourite game.
I first bonded with Greg over your small biceps.
That's absolutely fair. So that led me to actually start doing some biceps. And I started to fill out my clothes. But what I found was I needed to get a bigger shirt. And when I got a bigger shirt, the sleeve was bigger and I looked smaller in it. And I thought, this is fucking nonsense. So I had an interesting little epiphany. And I was like, you know what? You get a long sleeve top and you fill out the long sleeve top and you do more biceps and you can't get your arms in the long sleeve top to fit properly anymore. You get a bigger top, which means a longer sleeve, which means you have a baggier sleeve, which means your arms look smaller. So my advice to this country_club_bad boy is, look, you'll always be a skinny dweeb if that's how you see yourself, as a skinny dweeb. Just do some biceps until you're feeling like you're feeling pretty good, until you fill the V-neck out, but you don't need to pop the seams, because as soon as you pop seams, you got to go a bigger shirt and everyone's going to sit there and go, you have small biceps.
I just want to see a country club bad boy eyeball the mirror and just throw some positive affirmations his way.
He needs to.
You are strong. You have biceps. I mean, I've had it all. I've been there with big biceps and I've decided, I don't really want them anymore, so then I stopped training and became a pretzel, and now I've just got regular
and now you're like kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
I'm the opposite. Every morning I wake up and I do 100 curls because I can't face the world. I have a big complex now. I can't face the world without at least a mini pump.
Yeah, that's Greg's fault for throwing
Thanks, Greg.
that complex.
Thanks so much, Greg.
What do you got?
So I actually just got a couple from Doug that I have to read through. So before I read through those, let me quickly just stall.
Throw them up. Let's just.
All right, I'll read them as we go.
On them.
Let's riff. This one from the Douglet. What would you suggest for people who drive 2 hours or more in a car and therefore are subjected to lots of sedentary behaviour? Which is an awesome question. I really like it.
It's an elite question.
Yeah.
I would listen to probably Rocky motivational montages for the whole way up. So then when you get out of the car, you're just ready to move.
Mm-hmm.
No, but in all seriousness,
I'd probably listen to the Virtus podcast so that you can get advice on how to deal with this exact problem.
Yes. Certainly the first time we've spoken about it though, so
that's okay.
You've got 55 episodes to roll through first, and
podcasts live forever.
They do. You can just put it on repeat. If you've skipped this bit, just go back and press the backwards 30 thingy.
The little circle. What do you got for me? I like this.
This is something that I as you know, I'm quite an athlete.
Is that what we're going to keep talking?
No, I don't know why.
This is
had to drive up to the city a couple of times a week, and found myself after football training, I would be super supple, be feeling good, be ready to roll, and then jump back in the car and I'd sit there for an hour and tighten up. So my simple little hack for that was a little red lacrosse ball that I used through my hips. I did some self-massage on top of my quads, bottom of my hammies, bottom of my left foot. Didn't do it on the driving foot, of course. That would be highly illegal. But I basically just used a massage ball to make sure I was nice and supple and make sure I was nice and relaxed. I found when I did some nice cruisy diaphragmatic breathing with a nice easy podcast with the lacrosse ball, I was able to get into a nice relaxed parasympathetic state, if you will.
Good use of parasympathetic.
It just allowed me to chill out. So I didn't have those toit hip flexies and rec fems and all of those bad boys once I got home.
I like it.
What would your suggestions be?
I am a bit different about it because I am quite proprioceptive. So for me, sitting in the car, if I can feel my hips are getting a bit tight, I can squeeze specific muscle groups for X amount of time and relieve a bit of that tension. But that just comes back to, I guess, having the knowledge on how muscle tonicity tonicity is affected. And again, it comes back to breathing as well, having the ability to breathe and contract, relax specific muscles. My quads give me a lot of problems, but where most people would say you need to stretch your quads, I actually need to squeeze them so that I can become acutely aware of how tight they are.
Yeah.
And then send a signal to them, say, hey, just chill out, and then give my glutes and my hammies a little bit of love. I really don't, like sitting gets demonized, and it's bad, but it's also
It's just a position.
Yeah, it's a position. But one of the interesting... So I went to Sydney with Jamie, Greg and Mitch, and when we were... Is that the shout-out buzzer? That's sick. And when Jamie and I were driving up, we were having, a bit of a chat, and we were just talking shit, and we drove for about an hour and a half, I think. So I drove from Mornington all the way to the airport, which was about, let's call it 65k, let's call it 70 k's. So I drove 70 k's, and then we walked to our plane, and then we got on the plane, and we flew from Melbourne to Sydney, so it's another 170 k's, so it's 240 k's. Then we got in our little hire car, and we drove another 20 k's. So we'd gone about 250, 260 k's, and it wasn't until we were sitting in our Airbnb that night, just still sort of like hanging out and talking, Jamie looked at me and said, "Do you know we've travelled over 250 k's today, but we've only walked for one of them?" And that was insane. I was like, man, I didn't even think of that, because we sat down for the better part of a day, like 8 hours of sitting essentially. Even when we were sitting in the airport having a beer and just sort of talking shit.
Yeah,
then we were sitting in the Airbnb, and I said, oh my God, like, I never even thought of it that way. Like, we can travel such vast distances, but actually not go anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, there's minimal locomotion. It's just all automated.
Great use of the word locomotion.
Arigato. So it's an interesting question that Doug brings up, and I think if you can become acutely aware of where your body's tight spots are and the things that you need to work on, the body's great at adapting. So when you jump in the gym or when you get home, like, that's why I like the Bretzel position and the rib grab for your T-spine stuff, because they're positions that help challenge the tight spots that most people bump into.
Yep.
From day to day, so they hit your quads, hip flexors,
but it allows self-awareness,
T-spine. It
around
does.
body awareness around what
it does,
how your body actually works.
Yes, so if you can become more aware of that, and you can sit there and go, cool, I know exactly what it feels like when my the tissue around my ribs gets bound up and I can't rotate.
Yep.
I know what it feels like. So when I get into that position, I can breathe, and my brain can send a signal to that. That actually doesn't take a long time. That can
and we know
take
what
a
we
month.
need to do to change behaviour.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think it's just set yourself up in a like, you can change your environment, right? If you're sitting in a car and you've got your like Dougie sits right back with his hand on top of the steering wheel and just leans back and pumps his akadaka. Fuck, you'll love that. And I think it's just, if you just
mullet flying
out the window
like a flag.
Just give your seat a couple of twisties, and so it's a little bit more vertical, and so you're sitting on your sit bone rather than sitting right back on your sacrum. It's probably going to make for a little bit more activation, a little bit more core activation, so you can actually sit in a nice taut posture, and then that becomes the norm. And then we are creatures of habit. If we sit in a crap spot, then we're gonna put our body into weird positions. If we sit in a intentional position, then we're going to move from position to position much more efficiently.
The interesting thing as well is we can see someone sitting in their car and go, man, that can't be comfortable, but it is for that person comfortable. But just because it's comfortable doesn't mean that it's good for you. So you challenge someone's position and say, hey, maybe we can change this and make it better, and they go, oh, I don't like this doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
Just remember that a smoker stops coughing. It doesn't mean that smoking is good for you. It's the adaptation that the body makes.
Yeah.
So you have to be...
Well, the most comfortable positions are the lazy ones where nothing's working, and that's not what we want.
Correct. That's where you're just kind of slouching and lagging around on your slouching and lagging on your joints and your ligaments.
Yeah.
That's the nervous system switching off, and that's bad. We don't like that. I got another one from Douglas too, actually. He's just sent me like 16 messages. Wait.
Throw out a second Dougie question, and then we'll...
Oh, he's given me two good ones.
Oh, mate, we got time.
Oh, this is pretty good from him, actually. This is probably the best thing he's done the last 8 weeks. You ready for this? I'm not kidding. This is pretty good. What do you want written on your tombstone? I.e., what would you like to be remembered for?
I ask that question at the end of every podcast.
Do you really?
It's if you could be remembered in one sentence, what would it be?
Yeah, okay.
But no, what's yours?
Well, we've already talked about that. I don't know if I've asked you. Yeah, because we did it in my one.
I've changed a lot of questions.
No, we definitely did it in my one. Episode 10, guys, go back and listen to it. It's pretty good. All right, how do you make training sessions fun?
Oh, good. Well, it will completely depending on the kind of the person you're training, which is fairly obvious. But I have more fun when I'm training with people. Mm-hmm. So from a personal point of view, as an athlete, I have more fun when I'm training with people. And And I think you have more fun if you're adapting. So it's not that initial training session that you're making fun, but subsequent training sessions become more fun if you see improvement and see adaptation and see yourself lifting more and see yourself actually achieving what you're achieving. So I think from a coach point of view, I think if you're actually moving the needle and actually helping the client to improve, they're feeling the training session and they're not just going through the motions. That helps significantly. If they're being hit with the right amount of stimulus, so you're not throwing too much at them so that they don't improve and they're just sore and tired for a couple of days. And we will talk about that one in our myth busting segment later on.
Sure.
But we do want a little bit of variety so that we don't want to be doing the same shit day after day. So if we can throw in some sequential sequencing rather than some block training, then they're going to have a lot more fun and they can enjoy a little bit more. But just get balls involved. Just get the footies out, get the basketballs out. Just the little things that we can do that we're lucky enough to be able to do in our facility, to be able to challenge their movement or nervous system by incorporating skill aspect of movement. That I would highly recommend.
That's good. I like it. That actually ties really well into one of the questions Sarah asked us about motivation.
Ooh,
and
good question.
She says, when there is a goal or a race, it's easy to be motivated, but when there isn't, how do you stay motivated? And what traits do you observe in others for success? Oh, that was part of Laura's question. What qualities do you see in others that pave the way for them to achieve their goals?
Much the questions again.
Well, let's answer the first part because it ties into what Doug's talking about with making sessions fun, and then what you're talking about getting in and getting it done, and then there's that question from Sarah where it's when I lack the motivation, it's hard to get in and get it done, but when there's a goal or a race, it's easy. What do you reckon?
I was about to write my answers while you went through yours.
Oh, look, all right.
I think first one's just community, right? Like you get yourself around a cool bunch of people. Like it doesn't have to be 30 people; it can be 2 or 1. But find that person that you want to show up for and who wants to show up for you, and then
like a training buddy.
Oh, you could say a training partner.
Sure.
Training partner.
I had one of those once.
Yeah, I used to train.
Oh, I used to train with Simon. Do you remember Simon?
Who?
Yeah, exactly.
But just find someone or a group of people that are working either towards the same goal or just want to do the work. Because I guess we're in the fortunate position as coaches where we see people at all levels of the spectrum in terms of motivation. Some people are incredibly motivated because they got an event coming up. Some people are incredibly motivated because that's just who they are. Some aren't motivated even though they've got an event coming up. Some aren't motivated because they don't really know what to work towards. And I think the whole enjoying the process and enjoying the session for what it is really, really important, because a goal is just the accumulation of a bunch of different sessions or tasks.
Correct.
And if we can enjoy each one of those little tasks, even when it's difficult, then that's what's going to allow us to succeed. And I think finding a person you like, my second one, which is super biased, but I don't care because it's probably the best answer, is find a coach, because then you've got someone to report to, someone who's going to be in your corner the whole time, but someone who you can keep coming back to and asking for assistance and help and support and guidance while you're working towards something. And those days when you don't feel like getting up and going to the gym, or you don't feel like going to footy training or soccer training or netball training or whatever it is, you've got your coach who you're holding yourself to, and same thing goes with the training partner. I think if you tick both those boxes, you're probably not going to fail at many things.
Yeah, I agree.
What do you think?
It's a similar mindset. Motivation's a funny word because motivation means that at that particular moment in time you feel like doing something.
Yeah.
So motivation means I feel like doing it, and then there's the discipline, which is I need to do it anyway. And I'm fortunate in that I've had discipline drilled into me for years. However, that being said, her question is when there isn't, how do you stay motivated? The easy answer is you don't stay motivated. You have to take a step away and say, look, I don't feel like doing this today, and then I subjectively appraise myself and say, why don't I feel like doing this today? Is it because I'm not motivated?
Yeah.
If it's because I'm not motivated, then the answer is, like, I go down the flow chart. Should I or shouldn't I? I probably should. The next question, or the other question would be, I'm injured. So if I'm injured, the question would be, should I or shouldn't I? And then the answer to that is it going to make me sore and compromise my ability to recover tomorrow?
Yeah.
Because if I can't recover tomorrow, I probably shouldn't do it. If I can recover tomorrow, then I just do what I need to do and tick the boxes. But the trick, Sarah, is to always have a goal, and which is a really easy thing to say. But with my training, I like to think longer term. So I don't say long term, I say longer term. And the best example I can give you is, like, I don't cut my year into months or quarters or halves or weeks. I sort of, I look at an event, like with Static Monster last year. That was in October.
Yep.
I did that event for the first time. So that was my sort of inaugural attempt at Static Monster. And once I'd finished it, someone said, oh, when's your next comp? And I said, I don't know, but I'm definitely going to do Static Monster again next year. So I automatically gave myself 12 months. Between that period and then this coming October, I've recently done the Sufferfest triathlon, which was just a sprint. But when I finished that, I looked at Coop and Bernie and I said, I'm going to do this again next year, which gave me a 12-month window to start working towards that. But from, I think that was Feb or March. Let's call it March. Between March and October, I've now got a 6-month window where I need to start working towards Static Monster. So all of a sudden, I've cut my year in half, but I haven't done it in a training sort of way. I've done it in an event or a competitive stimulus kind of way.
Yeah.
My strength season will start in September, and I've already got a couple of comps planned. I'm going to do the Static Monster comp again. I'm going to do Vic's Strongest, try to qualify for the Arnold Classic next year. And I can also do the Battle for Ballarat. And all that happens within about a 3 to 4 month period. So from September through to Feb, there's 4 big strongman comps, and there's also a powerlifting comp that my coach Jamie from Melbourne Strength Culture, I've already dinged it, wants to
he got one.
Yeah, wants to put me in for. So in that 4 month period, I'll have 5 events. One of them I'll be doing for the second time, and then at the end of that period, there'll be Sufferfest again, which I'll do that sprint again, or maybe even a half marathon, I'm not sure. But the point here is I'm not sitting there saying, man, I've got a whole friggin' year between Static Monster to Static Monster. I can just sit back and relax.
It's all the other things in between.
Yeah, I'm giving myself little checkpoints to kind of stagger my year out. And it not only does it change the stimulus in terms, like, you can't train strongman and then go and compete in a triathlon, because I proved that, like, you can't do it. You can muscle your way through the water, but it cooks you for the bike, which cooks you for the run. So there's a lot of really interesting and intricate methods that you need to employ to get yourself through. That being said, all I did was just train. I didn't just train strongman, but I did a lot of GPP for the triathlon, and I think I performed really well for
general physical preparation for those.
General physical preparation. I'm the king of GPP for myself. When it comes to just being generally ready and generally prepared for something, I was 96 and a half kilos. No, I tapered. I was 92 and a half kilos, and I dragged my lard ass through, through a triathlon, even if it is a sprint, when I'm usually based around strength. So the trick for me was, it wasn't that I had goals, I just had specific checkpoints that I was going to be working towards to. And then in those events, if you give yourself 8 to 12 weeks, you can actually start working your way into a semblance of good physical shape for that.
Yeah.
Without having to sit there and go, wow, I've got 6 months for this event. Well, I can afford to take a day off here. Once you start getting a really big, busy portfolio across a year and saying, well, man, I've got 12 events to do this year, and 3 of them are endurance-based, 4 of them are strongman, and 1 of them's powerlifting.
Yep.
You actually start to formulate a plan. That's why having a coach is so good, because that's what a coach does.
And you're able to help.
Yeah,
get help talking through it.
Those are macro, meso, and micro cycles, and that's how that's how I program for individuals. Is I sit there and say, okay, you got 4 races this year.
What advice would you have for people that say aren't looking to compete in an event?
That's the tricky one. So you've got to find either training or lifestyle related goals that are going to fit with your... So for my dad, I know that he wanted to lose like 15 kilos. The coach in me knows that's not a smart goal for him, but I supported him in the sense that I said, if you start walking a little bit more... and eating a little bit less, you'll start losing weight, because that's the general premise. And he didn't need to know the science, and I just said to Mum, keep feeding him, but just literally just like take an eighth of his portions away and put it in a container for him.
Yeah.
And then he can have that for lunch the next day. And he did that, and it worked.
Yeah.
Would you believe that? So he started increasing his energy expenditure and slightly decreasing his energy intake.
Yep.
And he made a change. But the reason that it stuck was because he started enjoying the walks, because he was getting a little bit further every time. And I said, look, just walk a K and tell me how you're feeling. He pulled up after a K and he said, oh, my back was a bit sore. I said, great, give it a couple of days, then walk 500 metres and tell me how it feels. And he walked 500 metres and said, I felt fine. I said, cool, walk a K again and tell me how it feels. He walked a K and said, my back hurt. So I know that there's somewhere between that 500 and that 1,000 metre threshold for him, where there's something that's breaking him down. And I said, Dad, all you need to do is find where you can walk, and then you can back it up 2 days later without any pain. Yeah. And that was the goal for him, was to find that threshold. And he found it might have been around 800 metres. There was this last little stint that was uphill on his 1K that was beating him up. So he just cut that out.
Yeah.
And then he got really, really good at walking that. And I said, cool, walk that 800 metre circuit. Tell me how long it takes. Oh, it took me this much time. Cool. Let's see if you can knock 30 seconds off over a week. So it's giving someone just little incremental goals that challenge their like their competitive side, but they're only competing against themselves.
Yeah.
I think that's a really effective method of helping someone that's not an athlete. My dad's by no means an athlete anymore,
Everyone's
but he's still competitive in that sense that he wants to, like, he remembers what it's like to be an athlite.
Yeah.
And he remembers what it's like to have that competitive drive.
But everyone likes that sense of achievement when you beat the time you hit. So good. Next question. What do you got?
What was that one from Laura before? Laura, what qualities do you see in others that pave the way for them to achieve their goals, and what do you do when you find yourself off track?
Good.
Her next question's a doozy too.
Good. We'll knock over that one first. What traits? Well, I think we can be really superficial and just say discipline, inspiration, motivation, and all that kind of stuff.
Discipline in the self, motivation in others, and inspiration for those below. So I can see someone that walks into a room, like Greg, walks into a room, he says hi to everyone, and everyone says hi back. So he inspires people to be better. He motivates them through his language. He doesn't motivate himself. And he has the discipline to rock up and do it every day. So he has the discipline of himself. He motivates others to be better, and he inspires those below him to be as good as they can be so that they can lift with him.
Good.
So if you're going to use those three traits, like surface traits, then if you want to be a better person, then it starts with being a better person for people around you.
That's good. It's really good. I think, from a goal point of view, just consistency.
Show up.
If you show up, if you move your needle even tiny little bit, it all adds up. And I think it's anyone that achieves consistently understands inherently that achievement is just showing up and doing your best and doing well. Doing your best is like it's got a bit of a.
Well, the word best makes people think, I've got to be the best, or I've got to do the best than everyone else. But it just means you've got to show up and give what you can give to the project. Yeah,
and I think if you're one of those people that struggles to see the improvement and see the progress, then find a way to measure where you're at, because so many people will improve and they'll move forward, but then 6 weeks down the track, because they haven't changed heaps and they can't actually tell that they've changed because they didn't measure where they were at the start. They don't actually allow themselves that sense of gratitude for themselves for putting in the work, and that appreciation for putting in the work, and that sense of achievement, because they've achieved something, they've improved, but they haven't measured where they're at.
Orientation is so important for that. It's easy as a strength coach because you can just use metrics like strength, where someone comes to me and says, I lifted 80 kilos for 5 last week, and then they come and they say, I lifted 85 kilos for 5 this week.
Yeah.
I can look at them and say, do you think you got stronger this week? Even if they say I don't feel it, that doesn't matter what you feel. Here's what's on paper. You, on paper, objectively have gotten stronger.
And that's going to make them feel good.
Absolutely has to.
And they're going to want to keep coming back.
Absolutely has to. What do you do when you find yourself off track? This is a little bit with what we were talking about with Sarah. You've got to find those allies.
Yeah, lean on the people around you. I find myself off track with training a lot now. I've, been in an environment where I just had to show up, train, repeat all week, all year. And now that I'm not in that environment, I'm bringing other people through our environment, but I've I'm always my training's always the first one to go. And I think when I'm able
Coach's
to,
paradox.
yeah, it's a coach's paradox, right? When like a plumber always has leaky taps and stuff like that. Like it's allowing yourself time for you and being self-aware. So for me, it's self-awareness to know that, okay, where am I at? What are my goals? And then it's okay, who can help me with that? So my goal this year is really, really simple: play good footy and win a flag. Objective, yeah, because we win the flag.
Yeah, because
the goal is to win the flag. So I know that from a from a year-long point of view, we've just got to win more games than we lose and get to the finals and then win those ones. From a week-to-week point of view, I know that I need to get out at least one night of footy training and probably 2 strength sessions as a minimum for me, and making sure that I hit 7 hours sleep so that I'm recovering from those sessions and the long days of work. And I had a little hammy injury a couple of weeks ago because I had a week where I was working too much and didn't sleep enough. Like, there were probably a bunch of factors, but the sleep one was probably the big one that was really obvious. So I let my allies, you got around me, Greg got around me to help me with my first treatment and then training to actually allow me to start, spinning my wheels again and getting everything moving. And I think it's a really, really simple one, is just find people who want to see you succeed.
Yeah.
And if you're surrounding yourself with people that don't want to see you succeed, find new people.
I agree.
Really, really simple.
I agree. Coming back to that point where you said, having the simple goal of winning a flag, we see it as a simple goal, but let me sort of break into why it's because if you were to ask my mum, hey, can you go win a flag for YC next year? She's going to go, that's not an easy goal.
Yeah.
But when you're in the environment, you understand that the easy goal is the goal that you can say yes or no, I achieved. There's no ums, ifs or maybes. It's not we got 7 out of 10. It's a 1 or a 0. Like, yep, we did it, or no, we didn't.
Yeah.
I do the same thing. So this comes back to what Sarah was talking about. I do the same thing when it comes to my comp stages and my training stages in terms of staying, for want of a better word, motivated, is that when I break my year up and I have those events coming, that's the goal. And then the goal is to work backwards from there and create not smaller goals, but checkpoints along the way. And if I create those checkpoints, they become a roadmap. And every time I tick off one of those checkpoints, I know that I'm on the road, or I'm at least on the path to put myself in a good position to achieve that goal. So when you say, what's an example? My strength season starts in September. So if I want to put myself in the best position I can to come into September strong, for want of a better word, before I start building strength again, I know that I need to literally survive winter and not lose any strength gains, maybe make some incremental gains. So for me, programming in winter is based around maybe 20 to 30% strength, 40% movement, and 30 to 40% of conditioning, because I can't afford to put any excessive weight on, and I can't afford to lose any strength. So that when September comes around, the weather starts to warm up a bit, I can come into my first sort of strength block and feel confident that my body is going to be able to do what it needs to do. But if I sit back and think, I've got to do all of this strength work between now and September and then start preparing, my body's not going to want to do it. And that's one of the things I've been struggling with Jamie's help with this powerlifting comp, is that I just can't lift in winter. My body doesn't respond well to the cold. So let's taper some of that strength back. Thank you. Let's taper some of that strength back and focus on dialing in the movement patterns, and then getting the body to just move around and stay warm.
Yeah.
That way, when September comes, I haven't been doing nothing for 4 months and just sort of staying rugged up, and then starting from 0 kilometers per hour, I've at least been sort of cruising at maybe 30 or 40 kilometers an hour. Now it's time to get on the freeway and open up.
Yeah. I think finding ways to gain momentum and keep adding momentum to what you're doing, from
momentum doesn't have to be fast.
I guess a macro point of view, a macro look at a year, say football players, basketball players, anyone that plays a season will have a 6-7 week period post season where a lot of them don't really do anything, the off season, and the biggest issue with that is people just stop.
Yeah, they just do nothing.
They do nothing for 7 weeks. So you basically detrain all of the work you put in for the last couple of years or 12 months or however long it's been since you last had your off season. Detrain to a point where they start a pre-season and they just get smashed.
Yeah.
And they expect to just be back at where they were.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest, life hack is just to not stop. Is just to allow yourself a couple of weeks of an easy training load and to ease back, ease into a rest period, but never stop moving. And that allows you to each season build on momentum. And you hear about AFL players who are playing really well. Oh yeah, he came back really fit in October. And it's just because he didn't stop. He just kept putting in the work.
He's fit relative to everyone that stopped.
Exactly.
So the best example for those would be Gary Ablett, Scott Pendlebury, players that are always making other players look slow.
Byron
Barry, sure. So he's the king. So those players, they don't just go and smash themselves for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
They might take their training load from 5 days a week to 2 or 3 days a week, enjoy some sleep-ins, but they're still just ticking the boxes.
Yeah.
It's not like they're working hard, but for every single person that doesn't put in the work or just stops, they make them look slow.
100%.
When training comes back and the coach goes, far out, such and such looks good. Byron looks good because Byron always looks good.
And that ability to create momentum happens from a micro point of view as well.
Yeah,
did you have your 7 hours sleep? Did you have 4 litres of water today? Did you move for half an hour? Did you do your mobs? Did you eat your 3 full meals?
Let's actually talk about that too, because that's our minimum system that I like to implement with all my people. So here's a question you need to ask yourself. Did I today drink a minimum of 2 litres of water? 2 litres is not much, but in the grand scheme, this is a minimum. We actually need to drink more. But you ask 100 people, and I've done it on Instagram. I've put a little poll up, and it was amazing. 70% of the people weren't drinking a minimum of 2 litres of water. Holy shit! Food. Have you had 3 whole meals today? I don't care what size they are. I don't even care if it's fucking Macca's. I need to know if you've had 3 whole meals.
Have you eaten? Yeah.
Have you eaten something? Have you gotten some sleep? Have you gotten 7 hours sleep minimum? And then have you done 30 to 45 minutes of just light movement exercise? Have you gone for a walk? If you aren't ticking those 4 very, very simple boxes, then you're leaving gains on the table before we even need to worry about doing strength training.
Yeah.
If you can't maintain those minimums in an off season, or even when it's too cold and it's too wet to go and do anything, then those are where you need to start looking in terms of, because that's really simple discipline. That's not hard stuff. It's just simple discipline that pays really big dividends later down.
But everyone looks for the magic bullet, right?
Yeah, of course.
If all we need to do is do those things daily, consistently, over and over and over and over again, and you'll get to where you want to get to, and then the improvements you make are built off all of those months and years of doing your minimums, rather than trying to do it all at once, which we all get stuck into. It's human nature to want things quicker than we
absolutely
get.
But more and more people are wasting time because things are getting more efficient. And my biggest bugbear is when someone says I don't have time. We've talked about this before, but mum is a big one for this, where she says I don't have time. And an example would be come on, Sue. An example would be hey, Lockie, I'm going to give you this pill. This pill gives you a minimum of 2 litres of water, 3 meals a day, 7 hours sleep, and 30 to 45 minutes of exercise per day. Do you want it? And you'll go, yeah, that sounds amazing. My minimums are ticked off and it takes me 5 seconds. Great. Now you've got another 3 hours to do fuck all for the rest of the day, because that's what you were already doing. You were doing fuck all. You haven't learned anything. You've actually just made yourself worse.
Because you spend more time doing nothing.
More time doing nothing. Yeah. So you've got to really sit down and have a serious conversation with yourself and go, is it so hard for me to sit down and track whether or not I'm drinking enough water? Go buy a 2 litre bottle and drink it. If the 2 litre bottle's gone, there's your little goal at the end of the day. It's a yes or a no. I need to have 3 meals. Some people say I can't afford, or I haven't got the time to cook. Look, 1, that's bullshit. But 2, fine. If you can't cook, you go to Safeway and you go to their fresh food section and you buy a salad bowl, and then you grab a can of tuna and you chuck it in. If that doesn't take you more than 5 minutes, that ticks off the things that you need to tick off.
Or you ask your mate Coach Cam to get you some sushi.
And he'll do it. He's a good guy.
Mate.
You're very welcome. And then for the walking, if you can't find 30 minutes just to go for a walk, what are you doing with your life? Because feel sorry
it's
for
a
you.
priorities thing, right? Like I don't have any time, and I was thinking about it. Like I need to get in. I'm trying to hit a half an hour nature walk or outside walk on the grass, ideally amongst trees every day. And I was like, oh, shit, when am I going to get my walk in? And I'm just looking at the time. Yeah, I'll make it happen. Like it'll work.
Got it. Like, look, I'll be first to admit that I'm not the best at my minimums because I very often, like on the weekend, on Saturday, I sat on the couch all day and just played Xbox, watched a couple of movies, and hung out with Butters. Like that was all day. That was my whole Saturday. And I had some Dominoes. Oh, that's Laura's next question. And I had some Dominoes, and I sat there and thought, man, I've been a piece of shit today. I need to do something tomorrow. But at least I was acutely aware. Like, I didn't sit there and go, oh, well, another Saturday. I sat there and went, man, this was not a good Saturday for me. Like I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun, but I still needed to get up and do some movement, and my hips were really sore at the end of the day.
And like some days that's what you'll need, but then being aware of, okay, I need to make sure that I do some hip mobs or I do a little bit of movement to ease off the day. Like it's a long day. If you spend it doing absolutely nothing, like it doesn't take much to do a 3 minute get up and get moving, or to just go outside and get some fresh air. Or like one of the things I try and do rather than driving somewhere is I try and walk to the shops if I need some food, or just find those really simple things, because you can still enjoy a whole day on the couch and hit those 2 or 3 minimums by being a little bit more mindful. Like I was half asleep watching the Collingwood absolutely demolish the Demons yesterday, and then 3/4 time I'm like, okay, I've got to get up and do and bring the washing in. Like it was just something I had to do, otherwise KP would have been upset.
Of course.
But I did it, and like I felt better afterwards.
Shout out to KP.
Shout out to KP. And I think like you always feel better when you do the things you know you should do, and it's really, really easy because we're not really accountable to anyone except for ourselves with our minimums. But like, you're the only person that's going to look after you for the rest of your life. So it's really easy. Once we start hitting our minimums, missing our minimums becomes really difficult, because we have gathered that momentum and built that momentum, and we're actually moving forward, and much, much more likely to succeed because we're used to succeeding. I'm a big believer that positivity breeds positivity and success breeds success. And if you are in a successful environment, then you're probably going to be successful.
Yeah.
If you're in a positive environment, then you're probably going to be positive. If you surround yourself with people that are whinging and upset at the world and angry at the way things are, then you're probably going to be whingy and upset at the world and angry at the way things are.
That's fair.
Simple one. What else you got? Another Laura question, was there?
Yeah. How many times is it acceptable to eat Dominoes per week?
Well, we should have 3 square meals a day. There's 7 days a week. 21.
Absolutely. 21.
Acceptable. It depends.
I don't understand.
How do we measure acceptable?
Why? What is?
I haven't had Dominoes in a long time.
I'll tell you what, I had Dominoes on the weekend. It was really good. and not in the sense that it was great pizza. It just hits the spot. Honestly, Laura, I will have Dominoes until it becomes a hazard to my health. And at this stage, it's definitely not a hazard. I love Dominoes. Shout out to Dominoes. No, this is another question. It's really good. What is a great piece of advice / a quote / an article / a video that has had a profound impact on you that you would recommend to others? Why / how? ?
Lots of bits of that question. So there was, what was it, quote?
Advice, quote, article, video. I think she's asking
I'm going to try.
one of each.
I'm going to go one of each.
Yeah, go for it.
Advice, Greg Day, stop, take a breath, have a look at how far you've come.
Good.
And I think that's really important to actually see improvement rather than like getting stuck in the rat race of needing more and needing more and needing more. What's the second one? A quote. A quote. You have to be happy with where you are now while striving for more tomorrow.
Yeah.
That one's just simple. Like I think I spoke about it in last week's podcast with Paige, which was actually about 2 hours ago.
Oh, the magic of podcast.
Magic of podcasting. But it was like, I think that's really simple for me. It's just I want to love every minute of what I do day to day. Like I know there's going to be hard times, and there's going to be struggle, and there's going to be stuff that I'm not going to love, but like I love rocking up to work every day and hearing Cam sing Celine Dion and you'd
be the only one.
Mitchie doing very little, and Coop being Coop, and Jess being like, that's the best, whatever it is she's talking about being the best at that particular time. But I think it's just find an environment and a place where you love to be, and that happiness will come. What's the next one?
A video that has had a profound impact.
Oh, a video. One of the it's a little obscure, but there's a guy called Chris Backer, I think. He's a coffee dude, but that runs his own business. But he's a really cool, I don't know, just really cool energy. Kind of like reminds me of Gary Vee a little bit, but the Gary Vee stuff, like Gary Vee's awesome, but let's start talking about someone else. Chris Backer.
Who's Gary Vee?
Chris Backer's got a couple of really cool videos that are very similar to Casey Neistat. Just the way they're produced and the way they're...
No fucking idea. Look at me. You can't see it, guys, but I'm shrugging and just looking very nonplussed.
So the Chris Backer video, I can't remember what it's called. I think... let me try and find it. It is... it's called How to Build a Career in the Coffee Industry. It's a 2-minute video, super cool. It's not just about coffee, it's about life. Tommy T shared it, get around him. And I think that's just like little videos like that, they just give me a kick up the bum to remind me that I'm doing a good job, or to remind me that I'm on the right path, or that I love doing what I'm doing, and all those kind of things. Yeah, they're really cool. Casey Neistat, sure you know who that is.
No idea.
No? Genuinely?
Yeah, genuinely. Yeah,
cool.
No
YouTuber he's got some really cool videos. Do What You Can't is probably one of my favourite one of his. And it's just a really short, fuck the naysayers kind of video.
It's fair.
Would highly recommend it. Do What You Can't. Casey Neistat. He's got a couple of hours. There's a Make It Count one. It's pretty cool. What was next?
That was it.
Yeah,
that was.
And a book I just read. I'm going to go podcast and book.
Yeah.
A book I just read was Shoe Dog, which is the story of Phil Knight, the founder of Nike.
Sure.
Yes, it's Nike. Just one that kind of is a reminder about how often you have to fail before you succeed, or how you continue to fail as you succeed. There's always failure, and there's always uncertainty, and there's always fear that you're going to lose it all and things like that. And to have someone who runs a company that's that big, that is now that big, to hear about how he got there, and all of the failures and seemingly failures and stuff that happened on the way up is pretty cool. And I'll listen to heaps of podcasts. Versus Performance one's pretty cool sometimes. But the main one, to stay on that same kind of vein, it's called How I Built This. It's just Guy Raz interviews different founders of different companies, and the stories are all the same. It's just I wasn't sure if we were going to be open next month, and the bills were stacking up. I didn't know what I was going to do. There were all these staff issues, and I didn't know how to fix it, or we had these production issues, or just there's so many different roadblocks that come to people trying to achieve wonderful things, and their ability to stay the course, be consistent, keep showing up, and try their best, shows that there's no such thing as an overnight success. So I don't know. They're mine. What are yours?
A great piece of advice, I haven't had so many, would be from my old pal Murray and Mark from back in the day.
Lads.
When Murray said to me about a girl that I was very interested in, he said, oh man, I'm going to butcher it. He said,
if he butchers it, just go back to episode 10.
Is it in episode 10?
I think so.
Oh, cool. He said, just be careful when you give, a girl your heart, because they can kind of just break it. And then Mark was there, and Mark said, yeah, but don't forget that guys are very good at doing that too. And I was like, you know what? I saw from two different perspectives the same
piece of advice.
Same piece of advice, what you do matters to someone somewhere at some time. So you've always got to be mindful of your actions, which led me to kind of develop my pure heart rule, where you try to do the right thing by yourself, but you don't you do it so that it doesn't hurt anyone else. And, you know, Lord knows I've done so much against that rule, but I always try to come back to the pure heart rule. What's the other one? A quote.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I've got a whole folder full of quotes, don't I, Reece Bailey? What's one that I can steal from Reece? I'm just going to quickly go to my quotes folder because I put down every single quote that Reece ever throws out at me, and I think they're so funny. Some of them are really funny, then I'll give you a good one. Butters, yep.
You genuinely do.
Yeah, this one's great.
Give us your top 3.
Oh, well, this one's not my top 3, but this one's one of... Butters and I were watching a show, and then it came up, and he looked at me, he's like, you got to put that in your folder? And I was like, I'm going to do it. You can't hold the tide back with a broom. And he's just been waiting for me to put it in an Instagram post.
That's good.
My top 3, I couldn't give you top 3 because I've got too many, but here's one that I came across a couple of weeks ago that I really like. Sometimes a hypocrite is no more than a human in the process of changing.
Ooh, I like that a lot. Was that Butters?
No, that was not Butters. But I really, really like that. I actually heard that in was it an interview with someone on the radio? Yeah. I didn't get their name because it was the end of the thing, and I'm like, that's amazing. That's really, really cool. I really liked it. So that's one. What else have I got? Bruce Lee. I was planning on being a star. I think I'll be a legend instead. That's awesome. That's just classic Bruce Lee. So arrogant. I love it. Okay, let me find one of my favourites because I've got them starred. A fool, someone who disagrees with information because it disagrees with desire. No, someone who ignores information because it disagrees with desired results.
Ooh.
Yeah. Good. This folder, man, I'll tell you what, it's really fun. As I fear not a child with a weapon he cannot lift, I shall never fear the mind of a man who does not think.
You guys can purchase Cam's quote book for $9.99 on the Vertus Performance.
That's $999, guys. I don't want to. 999 Zimbabwean dollars. This one's a great one as well. What separates the heroes from the villains? Is it really one speech in the night?
Ooh,
I know. It's so good.
It's
okay.
Solid thought.
I could just keep going. An article now. I actually have this article.
Oh, was there an article
on my phone? Yep. This is my favourite ever article, and I read it at least once a month. How I learned to love my body as a female athlete. Society can no longer tell me what is and isn't beautiful, by Victoria Garrick. And Greg shared this a really long time ago, and it moved me to tears. I'm going to put a link up in the Vertus Fam.
Yep.
It is that friggin' good. This girl went through the ringer. She was an American volleyball athlete, and she went through the ringer to conform to a standard that was projected on her by her peers and her teammates. I'm getting a little misty thinking about it now. And also the coaching staff. She's a beautiful girl. Like, she's very, very attractive, but she's also very tall. So anthropomorphically, she's
great use of the word.
She's very, very challenged in terms of what she can and can't do with her body. But she's great at volleyball. But that meant that she needed to sort of, like, there was aspects in this where they were saying you need to put on some weight because you're too skinny, and then she needed to lose weight because you. And it really breaks my heart to think that this is still something that people are pushing in something like sport, where you play it because you enjoy it, and then you become good at it and you get asked to play at a high level. Like, no one deserves to be subjected to things that this poor girl was subjected to. But then she came out and she wrote this article, and it was fucking awesome. So I'll put that up for you.
That's cool. I've got an article for you.
Hit me.
It's so Benjamin Hardy's an author on Medium. He's also written a book called
I hate him.
Willpower Doesn't Work.
I can't stand him.
The article that's really, really cool. It's a way to make sure that everything you do is coming back to your why, or coming back to the one thing you want to be working on. I think the article's called "This One Question Will Make Every Decision in Your Life Easier," and it's based on the British rowing team from the Sydney Olympics, I think, or around that time. And basically every question they asked themselves in their preparation the 4 years up to the Olympics was, will it make the boat go faster?
I like that.
So everything, will it make the boat go faster? No matter what, no matter what it was, whether it was something training, something nutritionally, whatever, will it make the boat go faster?
That comes back to the goal. Yes or no? Will I make this goal become
will this make me better?
No. Yeah, I like it a lot.
Very cool. What else you got?
A video. I mean, so many that I've watched over the years. I just don't buy into videos much anymore. But one of the ones that really changed what I thought about the industry I'm in now is something from Elliott Hulse that was just... It was one of his, like, you know, marketing bullshit videos, but I watched it and I'm like, man, you know, he's not dumb. He's actually pretty smart, and he's very deep into philosophy and psychology, and I've always been, you know, interested in that stuff. So
yeah,
it was a cool video. I can't remember what it was called. I never saved it or anything like that. Then there was the book. Did you say there was a book and a podcast?
Book. Yeah, book and podcast.
I don't really listen to many podcasts anymore. I listen to a lot of ebooks, like audiobooks, but they're not even... They're just like fantasy fiction audiobooks. But a book that I've read that has made a big change on me was A Hero's Journey by Joseph Campbell. I friggin' love that book. What else? I can't think of a podcast. I mean, you know, there's the Tim Ferriss show, which has some interesting things in it from time to time.
Depends who he's interviewing, I think.
Yeah, and depends on how deep into a bottle of Red he is. You know, I like the Joe Rogan Experiment from time to time, but it's so dense. Experience, whatever. Yeah, it's so dense that I can't say I'm a big fan of it. I just like, I'll listen to something that someone recommends me. I'm like, yeah, okay, cool, it's cool. Mm-hmm. What else? No, I'm honestly not a big podcast guy, unless it's something funny.
It's hard to listen to yourself talk when you're listening to a podcast.
That's absolutely fair.
Unless it's this podcast.
Then
you're going to listen to this all the
time. I can't stand the way my voice sounds on these things. All right, and yeah.
This is this is a question from Jamie Genuine. Shout out.
JJ, hello. Good.
Ding.
Let me move this just a little closer to the edge.
Bring it closer. I'm going to tweak the question a little bit. Right. What are 3 things you can do as a daily practice to improve your quality of your life?
Oh, easy. Drink 2 litres of water minimum a day. Have 3 meals and go for 30 to 45 minutes of movement. And here's why I didn't even say anything about sleep.
Yep.
If you hit those 3 things, it will help you sleep better.
Good.
But if you just focus on the sleep and neglect all the others, you will build a castle on sand.
Ooh, good. I like that.
And that is no good. Hit me. Your 3.
Play for half an hour.
Yours will be something lame like show up, smile, and make a difference.
Nah, I stopped saying that last podcast.
Or never miss a Monday or something.
Yeah, never miss Monday's a good one though.
It's good.
I think play, like find something that's not like this pattern interrupting in your day that's not work. So like this morning, I played with Jed for half an hour, just piss farting around. The other day we played handball for 20 minutes. Like,
just for your cup.
Yeah, we played Xbox with Greg the other day. Just little things that like physical ideally, but if it's not, do something different. Consume or create a new piece of content. So whether it's have a conversation like this or write a blog post or watch a new video or something. Third one, I'm trying to think of something that's not your stock standard answer. Connect with someone either through like face-to-face, actual proper communication, or call someone you haven't spoken to in a while. They're awesome. Jamie's actual question was, what can you do daily to improve your diaphragmatic breathing and overall breathing mechanics?
Put your feet up on a bed or a box or a couch, and work on your pelvic, spine and rib positions, and then just breathe in your belly. Good. Because the more you do it, the better you get at feeling the positions, and eventually it just becomes a habit.
Good. If you're a TV watcher, do it during the ads. If you're driving the car, do it while you're sitting at the lights or something.
What, just put your feet up?
Not your feet up. Diaphragmatically breathe.
Jump out of the car and put your feet up on the seat, lay on the ground. Here's a bit of unsolicited advice as well, going back onto that last point that you made about giving someone a call. Ring your parents or even send them a text and tell them how much you love them, because holy shit. I did that because, again, Jamie Smith, good from you.
Good from him.
We were having a conversation about that in Sydney, and it made me realise that I actually hadn't spoken to my parents in over 2 weeks. I thought, far out. Like, they'd love to know that I'm in Sydney doing something that I'm really, really loving.
Yeah.
And it came off the back of, I can't remember how it came up, but I think it was something along the lines of someone passed away and they hadn't spoken to their father in ages. I thought, man, like, time flies.
Yeah.
And the people that aren't in your eye line, they get neglected. It's unfortunate, it's not intentional, but when you move out of home, your parents aren't in your eye line all the time, and they're just people that you don't have conversations with. So
We're going to stop the podcast for the next 30 seconds. Text your mum or your dad.
I've already done it.
Good.
I'm not a piece of shit. But yeah, so while Lockie texts, that's something I want you guys to think about is when was the last time you texted? And if you live at home, like that's awesome. Just tell your parents that you love them, something small. But when was the last time you texted a friend? And don't give yourself that bullshit. We're like, well, they don't text me. Like, just remember that they're just as forgetful as you are because you're not in their eye line. It doesn't mean they don't care. It just means that they've got things on their plate that they need to take care of in order for them to navigate the world. So just because someone doesn't message you doesn't mean they don't.
I think that's huge. Like, don't be that guy that's just like, oh, they never message me, so what's the point? Like,
it's frustrating.
I think it's a really, it bugs me a lot.
Why would you want to sell yourself short? Like, when there's this big new cultural shift now where girls are like, well, if he doesn't text me, I'm not going to text him. And then if you text them too much, and the girl's like, well, they text me too much. Here's the thing: if you like to message someone and you like to talk to someone, you like to be very forward in conversation and direct, then do that because that's you.
Yeah.
Why would you want to hold yourself back from someone because you're afraid they can't handle it?
Yep.
You will, when you were saying before, like, success breeds success, guess what? Personality breeds personality, and you will find someone that is drawn to your personality if you allow yourself to be you.
Yeah.
That's why when I come to the gym, I'm always a dickhead. I'm a goofball. That's me. When I go home, I'm relaxed and I'm chilled because I get it all out of the gym. When I hang out with Butters gets to see like the really chilled, cruisy me. We still have our fun.
Yeah.
When I'm at the gym, I'm the highly charged, energetic person. I want people to see these aspects of me, not because I'm putting them on. It's me.
That's you.
That's actually me, and I'm a pest, and I know it, but I love it. And I'm hoping that someone out there one day turn around and go, man, like that Wizard of Oz guy, that Coach Cam underscore guy, I freaking love the way he does those things, and like that's why we want to do those things. So if you want to text someone, fucking text them. Yeah. If you want to text them 60 times, they might pull a restraining order, but guess what? They're not the person for you. You know, like.
Yeah, and I think that's it. Like, I've got friends that like we almost solely when we don't see each other communicate via text, and it might be short text, but like I know that like that's our relationship, and I'm I'm okay with it. There's no need to force something that's not. But you know, if you go, oh, I really should talk to that person, stop what you're doing, fucking text
do it. Yeah,
message it.
Just do it. Like, do what you feel.
I got a question from
Coop. Feelings, not thinkings. A question from Coop.
From Coop.
Who's Coop?
I don't know.
He doesn't even go here.
Simon Cooper with 3 O's on Instagram. If anyone wants to follow him. 3 O's. Get around him. Who is someone you look up to in the fitness and S&C industry?
Me?
Yeah.
I mean, Greg's number one, even though he's not... Like, he's still in the industry. No stuff, but he's still in the industry.
Of course he is.
He's not a strength conditioning coach, but he's in the strength conditioning industry. I look up to Greg a lot.
He's in the performance industry.
Yeah, because he has a lot of patience and a lot of time for me. Lachie Wilmot, who's at the Parramatta Eels, he's the head of their S&C. Very smart guy. He's got a lot of time for me as well. I ask him a lot of questions, and he's always got... short, terse replies that normally end with "Would you piss off?" But he's always got the time for me. Lachie Wilmot's a really good guy. Ron McKeefery as well, because he's had a lot of time.
I look up to him because he's got time for everyone, but he's just so passionate about it. He just wants this industry to be better.
Yeah.
Like you can feel it. Yeah.
In a room with Big Ron, it's infectious. You can't help but feel like you want to make a big change.
Second part of that question, who do you look up to who's outside the industry?
Probably at this stage my biggest idol or my biggest inspiration would be, I mean, it's pretty cheesy, but it is going to be my parents, because they bust ass, and especially my dad. He's been battling with some stuff, but he busts ass. He, like, when I'm having a tough day, I think, fuck it, you know, Dad's having a tough life, so I might as well just get out of bed in the morning. Who else? Definitely, you know, Murray Peel, another big shout out. Murray Peel caught up with a coffee with him the other day, had a couple of tears.
Very nice.
Had some laughs, but he's the kind of guy that no time has passed in the last 7 years since we saw each other.
It's cool.
Longer, actually, nearly 8 years since we saw each other, and we haven't missed a stride. We just fell straight back into our old sort of comfortability with each other, and he made me feel really good about the decisions I've made between then and now. In fact, one of the things he said to me was, I'm hearing a lot of good things about you, Elliot, and he said it's a big change from 8-9 years ago when I used to hear your name a lot, but sometimes it was pretty ordinary.
Yeah.
And he said, it's good to hear a lot of really positive things coming out of a lot of great people's mouths that he knows, so in his industry, which is really cool. That made me feel pretty good. But yeah, Mark and Murray, they're just two guys that I can always just give them a message, and they're always ready to have a coffee and realign my
chakras,
my rudder, my chakras. Shout out to Paige.
Good. I think Essence is kind of a weird one for me. Like, if you asked me 5 years ago, I would have had a list of names that I look up to regularly and consume content from regularly. But now, like, the people I look up to are the people that I go to work with every day. As lame as that is, like, Greg's an obvious one. I said to him it might have been a little bit while ago now, but I just said, like, you are the kind of person that just gets how the world works, and he's just okay with the way the world works, and he just does his best in that performance bandwidth. Yeah. Always got time for us, like, always knows the right thing to say, and always knows how to make what we do better.
Greg's biggest asset, and I know I make fun of him for this, but Greg's biggest asset is his age. Yeah. Like, he hangs around with us, and it's obvious that he's the most mature in the room, but not because of his personality, but because of his experience.
Yeah.
Like, he's seen the world.
He just gets
over 12
and he's done it in so many different countries.
Understands how the world works.
He's able to change behaviour quickly and efficiently.
Yeah.
Mitch, because he's like at the opposite end of Greg, he's so fresh, but he's just learning, doing,
hustling,
little
hustler.
Jess, because she's starting to dive into coaching again. I can see the passion she has for coaching. Katie, because she's just been like smashing herself to get this exercise physiology degree, and I'm so excited for her to actually be done. She'll be done by the time this is out, which is cool.
That's sick.
And you, because you just want to make the people around you better. It's very simple. From a outside the industry point of view, if we go like big worldwide, someone that everyone knows, Richard Branson's someone that I just like the cut of his jib.
Yeah.
He's just, everything he does is just super cool. The way he does
he's
it.
He's a very cool cat.
Yeah, I've always been like a fan, but not like he wouldn't have been in the top 10 people I think of. But I just finished, maybe a couple of weeks ago, his new book, Finding My Virginity, which is kind of like the last 30 years of his life. Yeah. And it's just he's so good. Yeah. He just his does
first
cool
book
stuff.
Is incredible.
Yeah. Like that was probably, I think that was the first audiobook I ever got, was his first one. And I like listening to them because he read the first one, and this one, basically his clone read it. Like, it's a different name, but it sounds like him.
That's awesome.
And I don't know, I just...
Do me a favour, because I love this story, but you'll have had it fresh in your head. Tell the fam about how Richard got his first plane. Because I think that's the sickest... I told Jamie this at the airport, and he goes, that can't be true. I'm like, it's true, man. Before there was all this regulation and red tape.
Didn't he lowball Boeing?
That was after.
That was after.
After he bought his first plane. How did he get his first one? So he was at an airport and they cancelled a flight, and he was young and rich. Yeah. He wanted to get to a specific destination because there was a very attractive lady waiting at the other end.
Did he charter one?
He chartered his own flight. He went out the back and just went, I'll buy that plane. And he said, does anyone have a pilot's license? And one bloke went, yep. And he said, great, you can fly it. How much is fuel? And the airport charged him an exorbitant amount to fill the plane up. And he goes, cool, there you go, there's the money. They went up, they bought a whole bunch of beer, they bought a whole bunch of booze, they just sold like 100 tickets to people just like at really cheap prices just to pay for the petrol. Yeah. And they said, hey, come on up, let's get pissed. And they got up and had a couple of drinks, and then they landed at their destination, and he said that was pretty fun. Maybe we could do that again. And then he started going to Boeing and
but that's the cool thing. That's the cool thing about like what he's done. He's basically gone. He's seen each industry and he's just gone. Okay, here's the leaders and they're doing it shit. They're not looking after the people, and he does it better.
Fun?
He's like, and he just does that. He's done that in a bunch of industries.
Kind of like how Virtus works.
Yeah, it's kind of similar. Yeah, I think we could do what he did with Virgin Active better, but that's little bit more.
Virtus Active can always.
Virtus Active, get around it. But Richard, you probably would do it better. You got a little bit more
Richard
more
Branson's
resources.
Virtus Active.
Yeah, I don't know. He's just someone that's amazing. Someone that I get to see almost day to day. That just like I can't feel sorry for myself or feel like things aren't going great when I see Rye. Like seeing Rye Johnson day in day out.
I agree.
He just, I don't know, the kid makes me smile, and the kid makes me really grateful for everything that I have, and to see him smile and to hang out with him and spend time with him is just like something that I love doing.
That's sick.
And I want to, he centers me, he grounds me. It's good.
Aligns your chakras.
He's a king of a human.
I agree. Let's add Elon Musk to that list as well.
Yeah.
Because the muskrat is a friggin' ledge.
Yeah.
And Hugh Jackman.
Huge?
Because Hugh is pushing this really, really good men's health thing at the moment, where another shout out, here we go, to my boy Josh. Josh has started a Facebook page. I'm going to pull it up before I plug it because I need to make sure that I'm getting this right. It's so good. It's such a good initiative. Anyway, Hugh Jackman is pushing a very similar sort of system, but my boy Josh Kahir is pushing this, here it is, this new initiative called Rewrite the Man Code, and it's about becoming really in touch with you. Oh, yes. Oh, get me up and about, huge. It's about getting in touch with your... You're killing my vibe. You don't know what this does to me. It just makes me want to flip a table and put on like a PT Barnum outfit and start singing and being a mad dog.
Cam's been putting the Greatest Showman soundtrack on it.
So
Virtus
good.
For the last, I don't know, forever.
Laura
and he
lifted to that last night.
Yeah, how'd she go?
Oh, she crushed
PBs?
it.
Yeah, of course she crushed it. She'll crush it anyway.
She hit 90 kilos on a trap bar for a heavy 5. Then she did 5 sets of 3 at that weight. And then she did 5 singles while I mixed it in with... She did 25 reps at 90 kilos.
That's almost 100 reps.
Animal, bro. Anyway, Josh is pushing this new initiative called Rewriting the Man Code, which is really, really cool. It's about changing the way masculinity has been viewed in society for the last trillion years.
Yeah.
It's along the same lines as my modern day or my modern chivalry movement that I never talk about because it's kind of like a thing I'm really self-conscious about. But this Rewrite the Man Code, get right around it. I'm a really big fan. You can find that on Facebook. And shout out to Josh. You're an absolute king of a human and you're a brave boy for sticking your neck out there and doing all this stuff, because I'll be honest, it is very eye-opening to see just how emotionally inept a lot of middle-aged to late-aged males are, and they still have a lot of influence on society.
100%.
And that's scary because they influence the younger generation as well.
Yeah.
Coming through. So it's good to have people that have the balls to stick their head out and try to rewrite the man code, I guess.
This is another Coop one. There's two-parter.
I hate Coop.
Give me your philosophy on leadership.
I think for me, leadership, it can be summed up by this great quote. Here's a quote for you, Laura, from Lao Tzu, where he says, "To lead, you must stand behind," because you get all the perspective without setting a pace that people that can't quite keep up can't manage. And that's why the alpha wolf in a pack will walk at the back of the pack, because he needs to make sure that everyone's moving at the right speed. So the 5 strongest wolves are at the front, the alpha's at the back, and all the weak, young, female, slow, whatever it is, they are in the middle.
Good. I like that.
There's a reason for it, and that's why it works.
Know your role.
Know your
role. Play your role. I think mine's fairly similar. I think leadership is empowering the people around you to be able to
express their role.
Play their role. Is to empower them to be able to go that little bit further than what they think they could and achieve either an outcome or a part of a task or an event or whatever, and just achieve. So empowering to achieve, but being there to support along the way, not necessarily needing to manage it or push it, but just let it happen, but be there. Like leadership's something that I try and work on to be able to give the necessary resources to everyone around me to do what they need to do. Second part of Coop's question, what's your philosophy on building relationships with people?
Relationships. That is the key to life. You'd be very lonely if you had an inability to create relationships with people. Did you just swallow ink? Oh, it's the lid.
I bit the end of the pen off.
Good.
Carry on. As you were.
Building relationships is the single most important factor in getting you from A to B, because you can't do it all by yourself. So you've got to find people that know how to get there, people that have been there before maybe. But if you don't know how to communicate with these people, you will fall short every single time when you try to get these people in your corner to help you. And that first step comes from being able to communicate with yourself. You need to be honest with yourself at all times and say, here's where I am, here's where I need to be. Here's what's holding me back, here's where I want to be pushing towards, here's where I want to improve. When you can really nail these aspects, that's where you can start to take little aspects from that and go, well, I know exactly where I need to go for this specific thing, so I can go to this person and ask for help.
Yeah.
But if you can't do that, then it's impossible to talk to people and get meaningful results from it. So it's kind of just having very vague, shallow conversations with people, which doesn't get you anywhere. It just creates vague and shallow relationships.
I like that. For me, it's just giving a fuck. Like, give a fuck about the people you're actually trying to connect with.
Swear jar.
I don't care. I'm just going to ding ding. I think too many people try and network or create relationships or try and put themselves in front of people for the wrong reasons. And I think if we go into a relationship or we try and connect with someone and don't care about what we're going to get out of it and actually care about that person, then you'll end up better off because you have a relationship that will help you, I guess, enrich your life.
Yeah.
That's simple.
Relationships are not about building a team around you. It's about connecting yourself with as many different individuals as possible so that you can not only have your beliefs and standards challenged, but so that you can grow from those challenges. If you just spend time with people that you like to spend time with all the time, you get stuck in the echo chamber. And then you start to model your beliefs around everyone else's beliefs, and you're not an individual anymore. You become part of this tribe, which is great. Like tribalism is awesome and very important. But when you become part of the tribe of people that believe the same thing that you believe, all of a sudden you get stuck in almost a religious doctrine. That's why people in Scientology don't think that Scientology is a cult. That's why people that are Christian or Catholic believe that their God is the one true God. But how can there be 16 one true gods? Like, that makes no sense. So either 15 other religions are going to have a very, very bad experience at the end of their life, or everyone is just stuck in their own way of thinking.
Yeah.
You have to be able to take a step away from that, be very honest with yourself and say, look, someone else has these beliefs for a reason. They're allowed to think that, but I'm not going to let this person's belief shape me unless it's something that I'm really interested in hearing. But Definitely. Still, I'd love to hear about what you have to say.
Yeah, that's cool. One of the things that I've started, I think you're one of the person that annoys, but I don't care. One of the things I've started trying to do, we talked before about not having enough time for people, I don't have enough time to send that person a message or whatever. One of the things I've started doing is
not having time for people.
A quick audio message.
You disgrace me.
A quick audio message, because I think yeah, it annoys you a little.
It doesn't annoy me. I think it's just funny.
Someone was saying, they're like, stop doing it. It might have been Tommy. Anyway.
No, it doesn't bother me. I think it's good. It adds a personal touch.
But I think it adds a personal touch, but you actually hear someone's voice. So, what's the big issue with text, reading text?
No
communication, right? There's What?
No inflection.
Yeah, you don't know what mood the person's in or where they're at, and like you can read things the wrong way, and then
isn't it crazy how you put a full stop at the end of a sentence in a text message and someone thinks you're angry with them? My grammar and diction are fucking on point.
Yeah.
All right, how dare you, pal? I passed year 11 English,
and like I've just
now I'm angry.
sending voice messages to people that I may have not seen in a while, or people that like it's an easier thing if you get used to doing it, but I find people are really like taken aback, they're not expecting it, and they're like, that was really nice, like I really appreciated it, and thanks for going to the time to do it. I'm like,
perfect.
It was an efficiency thing, mate. Like it takes me less time, but then you get more out of it. So I think a really
adding value.
Yeah, I think a really easy way, just stop with a text and just send voice messages, because you can get if it's a message, you get your message across a little bit better. If it's just a catch up, then they get to hear your excitement about how they're going with their lives. We got any more? Good
from you, Coop. No super questions, but we have got these from Case, where she wants some myth busting around some widespread facts, in parentheses, about the health, fitness, wellness industry that you would both know to be myths and can break down or debunk for the layman, i.e. listeners like me. I don't think you're lame, man.
Good.
Would be interesting to hear.
Good.
So I wrote down 3 of my biggest bugbears just to have a quick breakdown on if you wanted to. If you've got anything you want to add to them as well, more than welcome to.
Let's just go through yours, and then
if
any of the ones I'm thinking of are not covered, go through.
The first one is fat loss and the science behind it.
Hit us.
Very, very frustrating. So I ran the interns through this the other day.
Eat loss, move more, surely.
That actually helps, but why? Where does the fat go? This is why I ask people, like, where does the fat go? And they go, I don't know, you sweat it out or you wee it out. I'm like, no, you don't. So here's the challenge for you guys listening at home. I just want you to take a really deep breath and then hold it and then breathe it out. And congratulations, you just got a little bit skinnier, because we actually get rid of fat by binding the carbon chains that make fat to oxygen to create carbon dioxide, which we expel with breath. So that's why exercise that helps get your heart rate up can be quite effective for fat loss. But it's not because of the sweat factor. It's not even because of the resistance training factor. It's because of the breathing factor. If you're breathing a little bit more, it's giving your body the opportunity to find a little bit more of that free-floating carbon, attach it to an oxygen molecule, and breathe it out. But there's a big process that happens along the way. You can do things to help supplement this, like changing the way you eat. You can manipulate your energy expenditure. You can incorporate resistance training, or you can just go for a really long run. But there is no fast, easy method. There is no magic pill, and there is no best practice when it comes to long-term body composition change. One of the most annoying things I hear is I've been told that Bikram yoga or that endurance running, or that like these are the best things for losing fat. But here's where you learn these tidbits from. Lockie, you're a yoga instructor, and I come to you and say, man, I really like your body and I like the way that you sort of handle things. How can you recommend that I lose fat? What do you think?
Probably yoga, man.
Oh, you know what? I'm just going to start doing all this yoga to help me look like you.
You go to a surgeon, they're going to say surgery is the best option. You go to a physio, they're going to say rehab is the best option.
Of course.
So, yeah.
You ask a boxer, and the boxer will tell you, hey, boxing got me into shape. They have no scope as to whether or not you need, or you're competent enough to do yoga or boxing, or go for a long run, or do a triathlon, or lift weights. Yeah. So that's why having a coach is very important, because we analyse, we screen, we assess, and we say, hey, here's where you're currently at, and let me progress you to where you want to go. Crash diets and short-term, high-intense stuff doesn't fucking work. Plan for the long term.
Yeah, I think that's it. Like, I always get asked, I get asked a lot of questions like, how many times should I be working out? Like, what's the best time to exercise? When should I eat? And it's just like, okay, what is going to be the time to exercise that's going to be the most efficient for you? Like, when are you going to be able to maintain that consistency? Like, we've got like obviously a big crew at the gym, but we got some guys that come to 6 a.m. every morning, and if I tried to get them to come at 6 p.m. after work, even though they're the most consistent people that we've got, they just wouldn't be able to do it. Yeah, exactly. So I think understanding who you are and what works for you in terms of time, in terms of how it works around the rest of your schedule, like set yourself up for success. Don't feel as though there's one way to do anything. Like just because Cam's jacked, ripped and shredded doesn't necessarily mean that if you do the same things that you're going to get to where you need to get to.
I appreciate that. I've really been working on it.
You're welcome.
You've noticed.
But
That's
my,
awesome.
my suggestion would be talk to the people that...
What do you think about this muscle here though? Is this big?
Pointing to your bicep. No, biceps can't get any bigger.
No, I'm pointing to my pec.
I know you are.
Thinking about my big pecs. Thoughts? Been really scoping them lately.
You've got a bigger top one.
What about these muscles here?
Spoke about this before.
BMO.
You've actually got a very big BMO.
We call that the teardrop in the industry.
Probably won't do an ACL.
Nah. Sure
what are we talking about? Oh, talk to the people that have experience and have qualifications are neither here nor there, but because we could go on a big tangent about that. Podcast 52, I think we did for a bit, but find people that have taken people from point A to point B consistently, regularly, efficiently, safely, and talk to them about it. If it seems like a quick fix or it seems like it's going to happen quicker than you thought it would, then it probably won't.
If it's too good to be true, it probably is.
Yeah.
It's fair.
What else we got?
Now this one's a nice one. Why it's crucial to implement resistance training, particularly for women, when you're looking at improving that health and wellness.
Who doesn't want to be strong?
Strength is awesome. Just ask everyone at Virtus. It's great being strong, but why is it crucial?
Well, it's crucial because it teaches your body to be robust and to be able to adapt to whatever life throws at you.
Good.
We don't need to talk much more than that.
I disagree. I'm going to go so deep on this. I'm going to go so deep on this, ladies.
That was Wallace trying to put the handbrake on Cam's brand.
No.
I'm just going to step out from it.
One of the biggest resistances I hear from girls in the industry. I don't want to lift weights. It's going to make me bulky. Girls.
Are we still on that? It's 2018.
We're still on that. Girls, lifting weights doesn't make you bulky. Pumping human growth hormones into your body, training 6 times a day, 7 days a week, and eating 4,000 calories a day is going to make you bulky, and you'll look great if that's what you're into. But here's why lifting weights or resistance training is so important, even at just a foundational level, but particularly for women. When you lift weight, it helps with musculoskeletal health. So there's this, I don't know if you've heard of it, Lockie, there's this little thing that goes around and it becomes a little bit more prevalent for women when they get past the age of 50, 55, called osteoporosis and osteoarthritis.
See.
Osteoporosis is when the bone starts to deteriorate. When we lift weights, we don't just affect the muscle and tear the muscle, we also crack and break the bone.
Yep.
But not in a way that hurts us. But this is important because the body gets sent a stress signal, and then that stress signal says, hey, we need to adapt so that this doesn't happen again.
Yep.
We continue to do this and we strengthen the muscle, we strengthen the bone. Osteoarthritis is about the joint. So the joints are held together with tendons and ligaments. When we stress the tendons and ligaments, the same thing happens. It gets a little stress signal and it adapts and it gets stronger. Lifting weights isn't just about picking tin up off the floor and looking like an absolute savage. That's a byproduct. That's a byproduct. It's got so much more in terms of health, particularly for women, because especially in this day and age where the Western cultural diet is starting to get exposed to have a couple of holes in it, that it's a little bit lacking for certain things, and women are being more exposed to more and more deficiencies. It's so much more prevalent to get your foot in the door early, just to start softening or mitigating that risk for later on. I think it's something like 1 in 3. It used to be 1 in 8, and now it's like 1 in 3 or 1 in 5 women over the age of 50 will be diagnosed with osteoporosis. That's insane.
It's outrageous.
That's insane.
But it doesn't
That's
take
20%.
It doesn't take that much, right? Like it just takes
1 or 2 sessions.
Regular movement,
yeah.
Maybe a couple of strength, like 2 strength sessions.
Even just 1
a day. A week.
No, you'll get bulky.
But like, it's every time the muscle contracts, it pulls on the attachment point of the tendon, which strengthens that part of the muscle, which improves your bone density, which means that you're not going to get brittle bones. And if you do fall over when you're 60 or 70, then there's a good chance you'll be able to stand straight back up and you won't spend 6-12 weeks getting your pelvis fixed.
Here's another cool, interesting fact too. There's been a study in America, my mate Dr. Andy Galpin at it again, where foot speed
I was going to say the same thing.
Actually has a really cool indication.
Foot speed and lower body strength are the two leading factors for falls. If it's low, then you're going to fall more often, because foot speed is your ability to... Well, foot speed is really to, if you trip over, move that foot underneath your body to catch you before you fall. And from a lower body strength is your ability to absorb the force from that foot movement.
Such a cool...
And if you can do both those things,
reduces your risk significantly. Like it's actually been linked to longevity, age longevity.
Because as soon as falls risk goes down, longevity goes up, because you're less likely to hurt yourself falling. And if you do fall and you're robust and resilient, there's a good chance we don't have any issues, rather than maybe a little bruise and something like that. And
That's
awesome. Your ability to sit to stand, repetitively, is there's correlation with that and longevity as well. The more often you can, think about it this way: if you're maybe a little bit older or a little bit more overweight, and every time you sit down and stand up's harder, do you think you can do it more often or less often?
Probably less.
Probably less. So if we're able to make that task easier, then everything else in our life gets easier. I don't know. It's a simple one for me, and I am very much looking forward to being able to get up and down off the toilet 50 times in a minute when I'm 80.
I'm looking forward to out deadlifting all the kids at the gym when I'm 80.
Well, yeah.
I want to walk in and be the bald grandpa barbarian and go, "Hey little bitches, get off my butt!" And they go, "Piss off, old man, I'll lift you for it." And then I have an awesome epic showdown where they think that I'm like Kyrie Irving in makeup, but I'm not.
Yeah, you're actually they're trying to pull your face off.
And they can hold me down because I'm old, but I'm still strong.
Yeah,
I'm just strong in the sagittal plane.
So resilient.
I think it's really good.
Was there one more?
Yes, there is one more.
Awesome.
Why it's crucial not just for people in general, but for women to monitor and maintain their minimums.
Sorry, say that again.
Why it's crucial not just for people, but for women to monitor and maintain their minimums.
Why is it crucial?
I thought you were going to tell me to say it again. I'm like, fuck, I walked into that one.
What differences would you have between guys and girls? Because it's 2018 and,
You know what? I'm so glad you asked, Lachlan. I really am.
Hit me.
The Fundamental Differences Between Men and Women by Cam Elliott, with 2 L's and 2 T's, 2018. Guys tend to carry less fatty tissue on their bodies inherently.
Yep.
Guys tend to have denser muscle and bone structure. Guys tend to have less mobility and more rigid stability through their body.
Yes.
These factors inherently make males stronger than females. That's not like I know. Don't walk out, Lachlan, come back. It's fine. Women
He's right, though.
have less density to their bones and their muscles. They tend to carry a little bit more adipose tissue. Can you guess why they carry a little bit more of that fatty tissue?
You tell me.
Okay, I'll tell you why. Because they've got all these organs designed to make babies. They tend to carry that adipose tissue around the vital. I am assuming
all women,
all of them are born this way.
They're born to make babies.
Yeah, they're born with the technology.
The ability.
Not technology.
I like it. I like that. We have the technology.
They're born with the programming in their bodies to say, "Hey, we can do
hardware
this."
And the software.
Yeah, that's the one. We can do this specific physiological function. So their bodies they have a tendency, especially in winter when it gets cold, to put on a little bit more fat around their belly, their bum, their legs, and their shoulders and their arms, because that's where all the main points with your arteries start pumping out to your peripherals. As a result, they tend to be a little bit more mobile, particularly around their hips, because girls, I don't know if you know this, but when you have a child, your hips are designed to split in half so that the baby can come out, otherwise it kind of just runs into a roadblock. Men don't have that problem, so they can't typically do the splits unless they're conditioned from a very young age, but girls are very supple.
Good.
As a result, they tend to be a little bit physically weaker than men. That doesn't make them bad people, and it doesn't make men better people because they can do it. It just means that everyone has a specific role that's born inherent into their physiology.
Correct.
And that's wonderful. We should celebrate those differences.
Yes.
But when we don't respect the physiology that comes with it, particularly for women, you can affect things like hormones. Now, I don't care how empowered you are as a woman, how much you want to fight against the oppressive regimes of it doesn't matter. You will still have hormonal problems, which will affect your health. And I want you to be healthy into your 90s so that you can stand up for all women's rights, because I believe that it's a very important topic. But if you don't look after your body, your hormones will go into overdrive. This will affect your menstrual cycle. This will affect your musculoskeletal health, which we just talked about with osteoporosis, osteoarthritis. This will affect your neuromuscular health. So this will bring on problems like dementia, Alzheimer's, MND, whatever it is, like things that aren't challenging your nervous system. If your body is constantly in overdrive, trying to keep up with the things that it's trying to adapt to, which you're not giving it enough of. So you can definitely live off drinking 500 ml of water a day. Yeah. But again, it comes back to that smoker analogy. Just because you're not coughing anymore doesn't mean it's good for you.
Overdrive's a really important thing to take out of this, is because there's stress and then adaptation, and then stress and adaptation, where we're improving and growing and becoming more resilient, more robust humans. And then there's overdrive, where we're constantly in that stress and your body doesn't adapt. It just gets worse. It
just gets worse. It's just progressive. So look, men are definitely susceptible to this all the time, and it affects all of their hormones, but they don't have menstrual cycles. Can you imagine if they did? We would just be tearing each other's eyes out. But they don't have menstrual cycles, so they can get away with it, but not for long, because it catches up to them very, very fast. But with women, it's so much more important, and it's questions that I ask the girls that I work with, like my clients often. I'll ask them regularly, like, when are you due to have a menstrual cycle? Because I do not want you to come into the gym and lift heavy on a week where your ligaments have gone a little bit more lax, or your joints are a little bit more lax. You're not holding water, and you're fucking cooked, like you're tired and you're drained. Because then I'm going to put you into a position where I burn you out. And that's bad. That's not good for your musculoskeletal health either, which is the thing that you may or may not be coming to see me for. It's not good for your neural health, because I'm going to burn you out. I'm going to put you into a state of fatigue that you can't recover from. So these little minimums are so important. When you go and do your crash diets, your high-intense interval training programs, and you aren't respecting these physiological factors that are there, that are born inherent in your DNA, you can be potentially playing with a time bomb.
100%.
That you're just sort of like passing it around from hand to hand, thinking, oh, well, it doesn't matter which hand it blows, I just hope it's not my left hand, I hope it's not my right. It's still going to blow up in your face. So we've got to be very mindful that we aren't...
Eventually it'll come back and bite you in the ass.
So much. But even for guys as well, like, I'm a testament to that. Like, I've burned my body out to the point where I've lost all my fucking hair. Like, I've got an autoimmune disease. You don't just get an autoimmune disease. Like, that's not something you wake up and go, oh shit, this happened over a really long period of time.
I think that's an important one as well. Like, understanding that these things, like injuries, autoimmune diseases, don't happen by accident. Like, there's always...
Or straight away.
Or straight away. There's always an underlying cause, and there's always... Usually, there's signals and signs from your body that if you are in tune with what your body's telling you, sounds kind of hocus pocus, but listen to your body, because it's way smarter than your mind. Your mind.
Yeah, your brain is smarter than your mind.
Your body is way smarter than your ability to comprehend what it's actually trying to tell you.
Yeah,
that was a better way.
That was a better way.
And if we actually listen to it and actually pay attention to it, we can start to fix some of these issues before they happen.
Guys and girls, if you're driving your fucking car and a red light comes up on the dash, I guarantee you pull it over, because you don't want to drive. But why is it we come to the gym and we go, oh, my shoulder's a bit sore today, but I'll just train through it? Like, that's a red light on the dash, guys. Oh, I'm having trouble going to the toilet because I get pain when I go to the toilet, but it'll clear up in a week. Guys, that's a red light on the dash. Oh, I've got pain in my stomach and it wakes me up in the middle of the night. Fuck me, guys. Seriously.
Yeah.
We're all this.
But we're all bulletproof to a knot.
We're all bulletproof to a knot, Coach Cam.
Ooh. All right. We're done with the.
That's pretty much all of them. Yeah.
Cool. I got a couple more questions from Jess Rowe, and she won't stop, so we need to quickly answer them.
From who?
Jess Rowe. Jess Rowe.
Jess Rowe.
Jess Ryan. I was looking at Mitch Rowe when I said it. Jess Ryan. Get around it.
Who?
Let's get these done quick, because we're going to call in 10 minutes. What are the main values? What are your main values, and how does your coaching align with those values?
What are my main values? They're tattooed on my arm, Jess. So if you don't know what they are and you can't speak Japanese, I don't really want to borrow you.
Good.
My main values are the main ones. I try to be as respectful to my own process as I can, while respecting that others aren't going to necessarily buy into that. So my standards can be quite high, and I'm very acutely aware of that. But I don't belittle people that don't buy into those. So there's a lot of respect that goes into my day-to-day sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So respect would be one. There's that inherent discipline is the other. So I like to put myself in positions that I'm constantly challenged. Not only because it helps me grow, but it also helps me motivate and inspire the people that I work with, which comes back to what we were talking about before. You've got that discipline, that motivation, that inspiration. So, it's selfish in a way, but I work hard and I train to achieve a goal so that I can help my clients see that not only do I talk the talk, but I walk the walk, and that it's very, very possible for them to achieve their goals as well. The third one would be just to be a little bit selfish as well and take that time to progress fill your cup so that you can serve others from it.
Her next question was, why is it important to give to yourself? And what are the things you do to do it?
I couldn't answer that question. It's having that selfishness. Selfish isn't a bad word.
No.
You need to fill from your cup before you fill everyone else's. There's a reason why when the the air masks come down in a plane, you put yours on first. It's the same when you're having a tough week and you've got a big weekend ahead. Sometimes you've just got to make the call and say, I think I'm going to stay in.
Yeah.
And I'm a big advocate for it. I do it almost every weekend now, where I'm working my ass off in the week to serve everyone else, and I just need that day to deload or reload with me. So it's crucial.
Good.
It's so crucial.
My values are pretty similar, I guess. Like just connection with not only the people I'm connecting with, but what I'm doing. So connecting with this mic and you and being in this environment, or whether it's going for a walk or whether it's training myself or playing footy or whatever. Loving what I'm doing. So like I am very fortunate to enjoy the majority of what I spend my life doing.
It's good.
And love the people I'm doing it with.
It's even gooder.
Yeah, it's gooder. I guess, I don't know if it's a value, but to always be like hunting progress, always be looking for ways to improve, whether it be the way I communicate with people, the way I lead, the way we treat our clients at Virtus, or just little things what I'm learning, and just have fun.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to have fun
Smart.
with all the shit that I do. And it's important for me to give to myself because I know how it feels when I'm not. We got 2 more questions. What's the number one thing you want to see more of in people?
The number one thing I want to see more of. I'm sure I answered this on my fucking podcast.
Possibly. That was one of my
kindness. Kindness is my favourite. No, okay. You know what? Let's change the dynamic up. I want to see a little bit more. What's the word? Not consistency. If you're going to talk the talk, walk the walk. I want to see people step up, put their money where their mouth is, because there's a lot of dogs out there that have a bark but they can't bite, and it pisses me off a lot. And it's I'm sure that people see it in their worlds all the time, but in the industry we're in, I see it heaps.
Yep.
I see it heaps in coaches that have no experience coaching, no experience running a business, become business coaches that try to teach coaches how to generate clients so that they can coach more, but the coaches that they're trying to sell to have no coaching experience. So you're perpetuating the problem that I hate in the industry, where we have no coaching experience trying to coach people, and then you have some guy come along and say, hey, young whippersnapper, let me get you even busier, and then that whippersnapper says, fucking oath, let's do it. And neither coach knows how to coach. We've just got one guy that knows how to sell, and that guy knows how to sell because he's learned from like a business guy that's taught him how to sell, who doesn't know how to coach because he's not a coach. That would be my number one pet peeve is, if you're going to be a coach, then hey, take the time.
Yeah.
Even if it's just a whole year or 2 years full time, do it 5 days a week, 6-7 hours a day, and coach, and get real fucking good at it. Because you know who does that? Mitch.
Yeah.
And he's fucking good at it.
Get around him.
He's fucking good at it. And that's because he's spent the last 2 years coaching.
Bloody oath.
He's a good coach.
It's good.
But there are so many coaches out there that are just like, oh, I've been coaching for 5 years. I'm like, oh yeah, that's awesome, 5 years, yeah, just do it part-time, like 2 days a week. How long have you been doing part-time for? Oh, since I started, it's kind of like not a job for me.
So not buying into what they're doing.
So you're not a coach.
Yeah.
Like a coach isn't a part-time job. It's a full-time job.
Yeah. 100%.
Even if you've only got one client, it's a full-time job. Put your money where your mouth is, guys. Like, that's why I love like Tommy and Sam and Hogs. Like, they're coffee guys. That's what they do. They're coffee guys. And Snakehole Boys, they're graphic designers. That's what they fucking do. Like, they live and breathe that stuff. I have so much respect for people that they just identify with what they are, but they're open to everything else. They sit there and go, we're coffee. But I like common folk guys because they can sit there and go, yeah, we'll try a broccoli latte. Because it's still coffee, but they can sit there and go, well, why not? Like,
sellouts. Yeah, no, all right. I like that. What's my number one thing? I think.
Well, that's all we got time for. Thanks so much, guys.
It's gaining legs, is gaining traction, just gratitude, just appreciation for what you actually have and not worrying about what you don't. Speaking of gratitude, Jess's last question.
What am I grateful for?
What are you most thankful for about each other?
That's pretty cute. Just for the opportunity to come to work and do something I love every day. And here's a shout out to Tiff Toombs, who...
Ding!
Fair chance she'll never listen to this episode, but if she ever does, she was the one that said, you should really meet Lockie and Jess. And then, we had a chat on Facebook, and then we went and had lunch at the Rocks, and you had the ghost pepper squid, and Jesse had the ghost pepper squid, and I had the ghost pepper squid, and it was really good.
They don't have it anymore on the menu.
I know, and it's devastating.
Green tea squid, yuck.
No, I'm not interested. Thanks very much.
No.
But,
I like that.
Having that opportunity to meet you guys, because I didn't have the qualifications. Well, I have a coaching qualification. I can coach, but I didn't have the bachelor's degree, and having the ability to sit down with someone and say, this is me, I would really love an opportunity, let me show you that I'm quite good at what I do. That meant more to me than I can ever explain, because I've always been told when I handed a resume in, we'd love someone with more experience. That's the biggest paradox ever. How the fuck am I supposed to get more experience if you won't give me experience? So yeah, you guys really gave me a chance, and obviously Jesse's not here, so I can't tell him what I'm grateful about, but I can tell you that it's the same thing. It's
just
catch up
with him for a coffee, I reckon.
Oh, I messaged him for his birthday. I'm like, let's get a beer, and then he doesn't tell me when he wants to get a beer.
We'll catch up.
I'm off him. No, not really. I love him. I love my shampoo buddy.
I think mine for you is just the loyalty that you've shown over the last couple of years. You've been a constant. You've been a pain sometimes. You've been amazing other times. You're a lot more consistent now, which is fucking awesome.
Right.
You've just been there, and you haven't you've supported what we're trying to do every single day you come in, and you're making you make everyone around you better, and I appreciate it.
Oh, I try my best. Thanks, mate. Let's do a handshake so that everyone at home can watch. Nice. Really good. Really good handshake.
Shit. Thanks for listening, team. If you enjoyed this format of the podcast, yell out. We could probably do a bunch more.
Yeah. We can just do little stingers.
Stingers.
Like
the stinger.
15-20 minute Vertus stingers, where we just answer questions or pick apart bugbears. Bugbear is probably my new favourite word, by the way. Oh my goodness.
What's a bugbear?
It's something that bothers you.
But why is it called a bugbear?
I don't know, and I love it.
Because it bugs you and you can't bear it?
I guess. I freaking love it. Bugbear. I think it's sick. I think of a half bear, half bug. What
kind of bug?
A bear with praying mantis hands and big mandibles instead of a maxilla and stuff. That'd be sick.
Like a cockroach running around with a bare head.
Oh, that'd be amazing. It's like a Rick and Morty episode.
On that note, we're done.
Copy that.